Our next speaker has a long history with the NSBA, both in the boardroom and out. In fact, Judy was a very close and longtime friend with the special Shirley Ryan. Judy Harwood was born and raised in Southern Ontario and moved with her family to Saskatoon in 1977. Ms. Harwood's career has been in the hotel industry. She earned her Certified Hotel Administrator's designation, as well as a Master's Certificate in Essentials of Hospitality Management from Cornell University. Ms. Harwood has served on many boards and has been the recipient of many awards, including being named one of the top 10 most influential women in Saskatchewan, the Shirley Ryan Lifetime Achievement Award, and she was elected the Reeve of Corman Park in 2012, as she previously represented Corman Park as councillor from 1994 to 2000, at which time she then moved to the District Planning Commission, where she still serves. Ms. Harwood has 2 children, Christine and Mark, and her 6 beautiful grandchildren. She believes her family is, in fact, her greatest achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Reeve Judy Harwood.
Well, thank you. Lori took my time. It's been great. Talk to you later. Anyway. Well, good evening, fellow presenters, previous presenters, elected officials, special guests, ladies and gentlemen. A special hello to my daughter, Christine, her husband, Earl Johnson, and my son, Mark, in from Edmonton, and my partner, Robert Bilo. When driving home from a board meeting in Regina a number of months ago, I got a call from Jim Nowakowski. He asked me to consider being part of this event. I actually thought he was joking, and actually I think I laughed. I was familiar with the many amazing previous presenters, and I said to Jim, what could I possibly share with people they have heard from the best of the best? I told him I would get back to him in about a week. During my balance of my drive home, I talked to myself and thought about the request. Jim had been very kind and very supportive. When I got home later that day, I immediately called Jim and I said, I'm not even following the lesson I learned, which is to take on a challenge, so I agreed. I will leave the business lessons to my fellow presenters and share some of my very personal life lessons, and to do so I must digress. I was raised in a loving family, dad, mom, and 2 older brothers in a small town north of Toronto. Please remember the 2 older brothers. They're very important to my story. 2 incidents from my childhood impacted my life's journey. You must understand that I was a raging tomboy. How could I not be with 2 older brothers? At 9 years old, I got my first horse, and I still have horses in my life. They make my heart feel good. When I was about 11 years old, I played on the boys' hardball team in my hometown of Beaton. And why not? I played all sorts of sports and engaged in childhood adventures with my brothers. The ball season was going smoothly until one tournament in Newmarket. I was playing third base, my ball cap came off, my long hair came down, and the other team realized that I was actually a girl, and I was promptly thrown out of the game. This sure didn't seem fair to me. Why couldn't I play? Grade 9, just turned 13, scrawny, looked like a boy, but I was extremely athletic and determined. In our gym class, we had huge ropes hanging down from the ceiling. The idea was to race to the top and back down. And we didn't have safety lines, and we didn't wear helmets, and I guess they thought if you were that dumb to fall, too bad. My gym teacher, Mr. Yankoff, pulled me aside after a number of times winning races, and he told me that I should not beat the boys. Again, that didn't seem fair. If I could beat them, why not? I challenged my brothers constantly, and these 2 incidents have certainly stayed with me. Fast forward to Saskatoon. Our move, our family made in 1977, and I got into the hotel industry. That year, mainly to meet people, and that I did. Over the years, I had the opportunity to serve on a number of boards, and I learned lots from that privilege. How to run an effective meeting, how to engage your board, and not only how to listen, but how to hear. Some of the lessons that I learned: be on time for your meeting. Time is really a 4-letter word. Read and know your material. You owe that to your fellow board members. Be passionate and ask questions, even those dumb ones. And also realize that when you leave the boardroom, even if a motion didn't go your way, you must leave united as a board supporting that decision. And I respect passionate people. They tend to have a clear understanding of their purpose in life. They seem to have one speed, and that is full tilt. And what I really appreciate is that they are usually positive people, and why on earth would any of us want to be around negativity? Some of the board chairs who influenced me over the years were Jim Ewell, Joel Teal, and Doug Hodson, just to name a few. Their leadership skills and mentorship helped me in my later career. Notice no women named, but that's because at the time, women chairs were far and few. During one of my days working at the hotel, and to set the stage, my office was off the main corridor, so I had on a regular basis people stopping by to say hi or just acknowledge me as they went by. One day as I dashed out of my office, someone grabbed me from behind. I assumed it was one of our customers being silly. When I turned to look back, I saw a man with a balaclava and a gun pointed at my head. He pushed me through the door into the accounting office and then onto the floor, where he hovered over me with a gun pointed at me. His accomplice had a baseball bat. He went into our cash room and proceeded to rob us. While sitting on the floor, it crossed my mind that I may never see my family again, and that scared me. Without looking up, I tried to remember as much as I could about the man. It seemed an eternity sitting on the floor, and flashes of my life did go through my head, especially the what-ifs. The thieves were in and out of our office and the hotel in less than 5 minutes. The police came and interviewed me. They asked if I wanted counseling. I said no, still trying to maintain that tough identity, or so I thought. It was the first time ever that when I got into my car to drive home that day, that I locked the doors from the inside. The lesson learned. I thought I was always in control of my life, independent, strong, bring it on. Well, I learned in a second you can lose control of what might happen to your life. Your destiny is in someone else's hands, and that is a disconcerting thought. Don't ever take life for granted. It can change direction in a heartbeat. Our company had just changed upper management. At this time, I was managing a hotel. One day, while in my office, the new CEO entered. In a very unceremonious manner, he let me go. He released me. Forget it, he fired me. I was shell-shocked. I had been with the company for a very long time, and what will my family think? My friends, my business acquaintances, the community? What do I tell them? I was given no reason for the dismissal. There only had been a change in upper management. And in hindsight, I suspect he wanted to put together his own team, and I was not part of that team. For anyone in the room that has had this awful experience, you may relate to this. I got up very early the next morning to go to work, and I had no place to go. It was a very dark time for me, and I had to work through what had happened. I did work through it. It took time. I was angry for a while. Then I gave myself a kick in the butt, and I moved on. Thank goodness for family and friends. Here are the lessons I learned. Life will go on, and the sun does come up the next day. Give yourself time to decompress. Take time to see what might come your way. Hold on to your anger, as I did for a while. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Let it go. The only person who can get you out of that funk is you. And try not to have your identity tied too much to your job. And lastly, things do get better. A good friend told me that you're not measured by your failures, but how you move on from them. This unplanned dismissal was the best thing that happened to me. I didn't know it at the time, but it gave me the opportunity to do a 180-degree change. It made me reevaluate my life, and it certainly made me stronger and more determined. I've lived in the RM of Cormorant Park for 28 years. I served on the RM Council for 6 years in the 90s, and Saskatoon District Planning for over 18 years, and I still serve. A number of years ago, Cormorant Park and the administration was in disarray. More appropriately, it was dysfunctional. Cormorant Park was constantly in the news, but for the wrong reasons: lawsuits, HR issues, and complaints of council harassment. There were many issues plaguing our RM. Something had to change. Something had to be done to rectify this sad situation. Out of frustration, a local grassroots group was formed to not only change the number of divisions and councillors, but also to try to remove the reeve. There was a referendum. We won the vote and changed the makeup of council from 11 councillors and divisions to 8, which offered a more fair population distribution. Each new division had approximately 1,200 residents. Previously, one division had 200 people and the other 2,000. Obviously, it wasn't fair. This was a win number one. Our group now set its sights on changing the incumbent Reeve. We contacted many business people, and there are some in the room tonight. I'm not sure if the people we approached were too busy or just too darn smart to take on the task of running for the position. We were having no luck finding a candidate, and the election was looming. I was driving back from a hotel contract in Fort Saskatchewan when it hit me. Judy, step up. I had previous council experience. I was on District Planning Commission, and with my past board experience, I believed I could run an effective council meeting. My hotel management experience taught me how to professionally deal with people. On the way home, I called another group member and said I would put my name forward. It was mid-August 2012, and the election was October. We had to get moving. We put out a press release in September stating my intentions, and I started campaigning. The financial response from the corporate community and friends was so unbelievably overwhelming. I received good wishes from far and wide. We had the most incredible team. Lynn Sampson, who kept my schedule, attended my open houses, and traveled with me many miles in the RM knocking on doors. Gary Daranoski helped raise money, and he also made sure my election signs were properly constructed and then delivered everywhere in Corman Park. And Ross Harwood, who updated our huge voters list, and he also looked after the money, paying bills and making sure we were accountable. There are many more people who helped our campaign, too many to mention, but they all contributed towards our ultimate goal. When you run for any elected position, you put yourself out there and leave yourself very vulnerable. I had personal attacks in the paper and via email. My immediate instinct was to be Trumpish, lash out, but I didn't. I developed a thicker skin. And I did remind myself that I was running on a slogan to bring back respectful leadership. I also decided I didn't have to defend myself. I would prove myself. Someone said, if your choice is to be right or kind, be kind. I haven't always followed that saying. Robert can attest to that. But I'm trying to find middle ground, be right and be kind at the same time. Election night was upon us. Lynn had booked a wonderful venue with great food and drink. We had lots of supporters in attendance, and we all waited patiently. I must admit, the waiting was excruciating. The results started coming in. We knew there would be pockets in the RM voting mainly for my opponent, and that proved to be true. But things started to look very positive, and by 8:30, we had won by more than double the votes of the incumbent. Remember those two events from my childhood, in particular, being told not to beat the boys. I beat the boy. Thank you. In early 2014, I got a call from SARM executive member asking me to run for SARM director for Division 5. I respected this person very much, and after some discussion, I said yes. Again, I was taking on a male incumbent. SARM is the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities, representing all of our 296 RMs in the province. I sent out my letter of intent to all the 57 councils in the Division 5, and made lots of personal phone calls to the 57 Reeves, stating my intentions and reasons for running. The election was held during our 2014 SARM convention, and I must admit, the vote was close, but I won. I remember those ropes hanging down from the gym ceiling. Lessons learned. Don't be afraid to step up and put your name out there. For any elected position, be a leader. Yes, you could lose, but you could also win. And remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. I was recently acclaimed for my second term as Reeve. This means one of two things. People just don't care what you're doing in Corman Park, or they think our team is doing a great job. I have learned over these past 6 years that you can't please everyone, and not everyone is going to like you. If I may, I'd like to recognize our Corman Park Administrator, Adam Tiddamore, who's in the room somewhere. Adam, please give a wave. Good, thank you. Adam makes me look good in my position as Reeve. He is one of the reasons for our many successes in Corman Park. I would like to stress the need for women to get involved politically. Federally, just over 1/4 of all our members in the House of Commons are women. Provincially, according to my stats, 26% of MLAs are women. We have 13% women mayors and 4% women Reeves in Saskatchewan. We need to change those numbers. They need to be higher. I think self-confidence and certainly family responsibilities is a large part of holding women back from getting involved in politics. Politics can get nasty at times, so women have to be tough. But not to the point we lose the ability to be compassionate, understanding, or give up our unique feminine intuition. Be careful of what you hear about women. The rumor is that rumors about women either come from a man who can't have her or a woman who can't compete with her. I encourage women, young or old, to get involved politically. Take that scary step. Quite frankly, the men need us. They need us at the board tables, council tables, in the Ledge, and in the House of Commons. We've had to date 29 prime ministers of Canada. One of those was a woman, and of course, she lasted 4 months. Good Lord. I had tons of fun growing up with my brothers. As much as they tried to get me in trouble, they also taught me to be strong, determined, competitive, and not to cry. I lost my oldest brother in 1996. On August 4th this year, I got a devastating call telling me my remaining brother had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Sorry. My remaining brother, Michael, is my rock. How does anyone process that news? I don't know how. There is no lesson in this information I'm sharing. Everyone in the room knows that sometimes we lose our parents, a child, siblings, relatives, and friends way too soon. The book of life is brief. I believe in the saying, dance like no one is watching, but more, if you have a bucket list, start emptying it. I guess a lesson might be to live happy, get rid of negativity, don't stress the little stuff, and if you have people in your life you love, tell them every day, and never, ever sacrifice your family, your heart, or your dignity. I don't want to end my presentation on a sad note, so I want to share some lessons that I learned growing up with my 2 older brothers. And perhaps some of you with older brothers can relate. Number 1, when your older brother tells you he's just rebuilt the bicycle ramp and you are the first to try it, don't. Number 2, on Christmas Eve, when Mom and Dad have gone to your grandparents for the evening, and your brothers assure you it's okay to open just one gift from under the tree, don't. And at your Uncle Joe's farm, when you're out in the cow pasture and your brothers insist that blue salt block is okay to lick, don't. When your oldest brother offers to trim your bangs for school the next day, oh my God, don't. And finally, when your brother offers you a piece of mysterious chocolate, first check out the medicine cabinet and the X-Lax box, and don't. I've had a very wonderful life, enjoying my loving family, my partner Robert, daughter Christine, her husband Earl, my son Mark and his wife Shannon, and 6 beautiful grandchildren. Robert and I feel lucky to live on our acreage with our horses, 2 dogs, cats, and tons of wildlife. And sometimes I have to stop and take some time of my busy schedule and just be thankful. The last lesson I want to share, and one that I truly believe in, is this. People don't always remember what you say, and people don't always remember what you do, but people always remember how you make them feel. So tonight, for a short time, I hope I made you feel good. Thank you.